And a very good evening to you. We are live on Facebook here, and this is, of course, the Blue Toon Podcast Friday Night Live, the show that gives you the opportunity to get your questions and your comments into some of your favourite Blue Toon stars. I am Colin Biles. Unfortunately, no Martin Smith with us this evening. He's off on a scouting mission up in Dingwall, not for players, but potential pub places we might be visiting next season if things go the way that things are going up for Ross County. But as you can see, I am joined by one of the co-managers, Ryan Strachan, who's going to join me, who's obviously going to talk about lots of things, lots of positives for the season. But first of all, Ryan, how are you?
Yeah, good, Colin. Thanks for having us on again. And yeah, feeling good. We're coming to nearing the end of the season, so yeah, we're looking forward to the off season. Albeit me and Jordan don't really get that, but it's a time to physically rest and mentally strain, I guess. but
Yeah, aye.
yeah,
It's
feeling good.
it's sort of come around quick, and your the off season there is going to bring one to the first thing because I haven't really asked you about this for a long time. But how's the golf game? Are you still managed to get a game now and again?
Doing all right, doing okay. We've not had um, the best winter, have we? So yeah, January, February, even March was a wee bit stale, but the last few weeks managed to get the rust off the clubs again and out a few times, and yeah, it helps me clear the mind and get away for a few hours, socialise with club members, friends, and get some good thinking time as well, away from the work environment and in the house. So yeah, looking forward to getting a few more games over the course of summer as well.
Yeah, annoyingly, I haven't managed to get you at all yet, which is really starting to irk me a little bit. Because again, if I get on that first tee the first time, I'm going to shank it into the water somewhere, which is.
Uh,
But as you said, the winter's been horrendous. You can't even get it for
yeah,
a few half rounds now and again. But
yeah.
we're not here to talk about golf. But as I said, we are live on Facebook. So if you're watching this, you want to get a question into Ryan, please do get them into the comments. If you've got a general comment about the season, or positive, negative, whatever, get them in as well. Be interested to see if we can get some of those in as well. But we'll start, Ryan, with Saturday's game against Queen of the South. We knew what the sort of permutations for both sides were coming into the game. Obviously, we had to win the game to keep our playoff hopes alive. Queen of the South knew that a draw would be enough to secure themselves a playoff place. You've had a few days to kind of think about the game, process it. What was your kind of overall thoughts on it?
If you take the game in isolation, I think we did okay within the game. I think we're slightly the better team maybe on the day. But again, fine margins have cost us and late goals and things that we could maybe prevent that we're really honing in on and looking at. But a league table for me, it doesn't lie. It's of course a season. Saturday's ultimately the frustrating game, but it's not the game in isolation that's made us not make the top four. The previous 33 games we could have handled differently in times, and certain games that we maybe didn't show up, or were overwhelmed. We could have took points in a number of games that I think we've let slip over the course of the season. So that for me is probably the biggest learning point. Saturday was obviously a must win, and look, we put ourselves in a great position to do that. But even had we won, we were only carrying momentum into the final two games, which were equally as tough. It would have been prolonging our season, which would have been good in justification for where we think the players are at. But ultimately, we fell short with two games to go. But we can still see it as a real positive that we've went 34 games into the season. Never once really threatened the bottom end of the league, and we've always been looking up the way.
And it's saying something as well over the course of the four games against Queen of the South, bar the first one. I think we were far and away the better side across those three games.
Yeah, I think the first Queen's game was game week 3 or something like that, Colin, and it took us a wee bit by surprise. Yeah, the level, I think we had Cali and Queens and Cove in quick succession, and three of the first four games, and yeah, we found the intensity and the physicality. A lot of these teams, like, overwhelming, I thought, in the first sort of few games. So we learnt a lot from that, and certainly the return game at Balmoor, it was on Alba. We won 3-0. I thought we were brilliant that night. We went down to Queens not so long ago, put on a really good defensive show. I thought we defended our box outstandingly well, carried a really good threat in the counter. And then obviously it took us into Saturday again, where, it was a 50-50 game. I think we did slightly edge the game, but by no means did we deserve to win the game. I think draw was maybe fair in the end. So yeah, a wee bit frustrating because we probably have more than held our own against Queens, and another team obviously that's finished in the top four is Alloa, who have done particularly well against this season, with two or three outstanding performances against them as well. Stenhousemuir, yeah, difficult games against them. They've always been close. We do feel that they're the sort of model we're trying to get to. We're not quite there yet, but they've sort of sustained. They won League Two 2 seasons ago and sustained League One with comfort in the top four twice now. So we're definitely looking at that as a whole, on and off the pitch, the Stenhousemuir model. And then obviously Inverness are sort of, for me, by far and away the best team in the league. I think we only really showed up and competed in the one game at home, where we lost 1-0. It was about 60-mile-an-hour winds that day, so it made it difficult for Inverness to play the good football that they have. But the other three games, we sort of, it's not that we weren't a match. We just, we were simply beaten by a better team. That 9 times out of 10 we will struggle against them. We have to be bang at it to get points against them.
It felt like on Saturday that Queens come up to play for the draw. The goal kicks, the throw-ins, they were taking their time. Did you think that was the case as well? And is it almost like a compliment that they were coming up to our neck of the woods and playing for a draw?
Yeah, I think you could feel that in the game, that they've a lot of experienced players. They've probably prepped their entire week to be cagey, and they've maybe done numerous analysis sessions on us, speaking about the what if scenarios. And yeah, you could see that it was a cause of frustration, that they were taking their time. But look, they set up with good experienced players. They're a good team. We limited them to almost nothing within the game, which from our point of view was quite good. But look, they've done their homework, as does every single team in this league. None more so than us on the opposition. For us, it's a big point that if Queens weren't looking at us and doing their homework on us, then they're doing themselves a wee bit of unjust.
When I spoke to you after the game on Saturday, you almost felt deflated with that late goal, but still finding positives within the game and of course for the season as well. We'll come on to the sort of lessons learned in a little bit, but when you look back on the games as a whole, and obviously conceding the goal late on was massively disappointment. Is that kind of the standards that you're looking for and looking from your players, for 90 minutes rather than say 80 minutes or 85 minutes?
Yeah, look, we're constantly trying to drive the standards, and I think it's important that our supporter base, everyone knows, like you obviously know, but we only sort of train as a group once, and we try and put so much messages across to them in that 2 hours. And standards is definitely one that we're trying to get across to them. What was the second part of the question again?
Are you looking at that? So, for a game like that, are you looking at the standards that we had in that game? Is that the kind of standards that you're looking for, but moreover for like 90 minutes rather than say like 80 minutes and
Yeah.
dropping off, or 85 minutes?
Yeah, of course. Like we're bang in the middle, or just at the start, sort of looking at why we've conceded so many late goals within the season. When we feel our players are, they're fit without being super fit. They're each player, each player could obviously be more, but we put so much onus. I think that was the point I was getting to, that we only sort of train once as a group together. So there's a lot of trust in the players to do their own sort of conditioning, and body prepping, mental preparation for Saturdays and stuff. And yeah, look, every other team slips up late in games as well, but we feel we've had it quite a lot this season. And if you look back at the points, if games finished at 83, 84 minutes, we'd probably be sitting about comfortable second. We looked at it during the week. So I know that's never the case because other teams take the points off you and or slip up themselves at crucial points. But yeah, it's something that we're looking into, whether it is a conditioning point of view, whether it is substitutions going on with holding on to the game mentality, or positionally we sort of drift in and out of games later, or we've got a sort of adverse mental effect in games that we're struggling to see them through, whether it's leadership or, me and Joe are quite big on making five subs at each game because I think the level plays a big part, the intensity within the game. And, we look at the guys' GPS metrics and, they're, again, they're covering good distance with relative high intensity in games. But you've also got to remember that a lot of these guys are doing a lot of travel in small buses and carrying knocks and stuff. So it's important that we manage the squad in their minutes as much as we can. But sometimes, it doesn't always work out for you. And with a combination of all these different things, we're looking into to why we concede so many so late.
Is that without sort of pointing fingers, but is that something that you look on? Is that is the players on the park, or are you guys yourselves, Jordon as well, looking and say, well, what could we do differently? Could we have done anything different? Are we making mistakes? Are you looking at it as a whole?
Everything, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a number of times that myself and Joe have came in after games, and put the hand up and says we got that wrong, or the timing of this wasn't right. So it's not a player thing. We're all in this together, and we've got to. Me and Jordon are paid to get more decisions right than we are wrong, and I think we are doing that. Of course, we are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pardon me. Of course, we're doing that because results and trajectory and positions and going up a league and pushing top four with four full-time teams tells you that picture alone. But of course, you're not immortal. You're going to make mistakes. We're only 3.5 years into management, and it presents a lot of different challenges, and some of them are extremely difficult. And obviously, getting substitutions right week on, week out, in team selection, and hoping that everybody's done their part Monday to Friday. It's not easy. You're so reliant. You can make a preparation. You can do as much planning. You can do tactical work. You can prep them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can send them highlights packages and how we want to do Friday. But ultimately, when that whistle goes, you're heavily reliant on the 11 and 16 that come on.
You mentioned being in management. Funnily enough, tomorrow will mark 3 years since you officially got the job.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
you had games as interim. Obviously, 3 years it can be a long time in football. First full year, just missed out on promotion. Then it's obviously second year winning the title, and then this year finishing mid-table in League One. It's been a bit of a kind of a whirlwind for us as supporters. How have you felt over the last 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, I love telling the story, whether it's work or the girls or anything. Teammates, past and present. I love telling the story because it's still so fresh and exciting, challenging, learning stuff every day. Year one, obviously, we had a full rebuild. Club was relegated from League One into League Two. We didn't really have a big nucleus of a squad to carry over, so there was a lot of incomings and outgoings. We'd never handled a football budget. We'd never looked at recruitment. We didn't even really know where to start with speaking to agents. But it's just something that you just have to dive into head first. I think we gave ourselves a pretty good account there, albeit Stenhousemuir went on an unbelievable run just over the Christmas period, barely conceded a goal and kind of just drifted away from us a little bit, without us actually being poor. I just thought they got better and we failed to keep up with them. Ultimately, we finished second of the rest. We failed miserably in the playoffs. I think me and Joe kind of put our hands up and got that completely wrong. We we went down to Spartans, played well, albeit we lost 2-1. It was a last minute poor penalty refereeing decision, if I remember, with Danny and a high foot or a handball. It was, yeah, even the Spartans players and management were bemused. But the return leg, we felt we got that wrong. We wanted to go aggressive. We wanted to go two strikers. We wanted to we like to obviously play with an extra midfielder and try and control games, especially in League Two where we had more of the ball. But we kind of committed to that on the Thursday or the Friday before the Saturday game. Went with the two strikers, and yeah, I mean, it was just a disaster. We tried to go with freshness with a couple of players that hadn't played on the Tuesday, and yeah, that the rest of that game's history. It just didn't go well, but that was a game that we sort of did put our hands up to, and yeah, the pain of that summer was difficult, but again, looking at the Stenhousemuir model, didn't concede much goals. We're quite physically strong. We understood where we kind of needed to get better, and I think we've done that. I think we've done outstanding summer with recruitment that year, and taking in a number of players that really helped us kick on. They drove internal standards, guys like Dylan and Max and stuff, and just helped the overall condition of the team. The youth, the team became a bit younger, fresher, hungrier, and I think we had this obviously burning desire to get promoted, but we obviously wanted to do it through first spot. And look, it wasn't easy. We faced a lot of teams that probably did see us as the best team in the league, certainly the most possession in the league, and sat very low against us. So we had to work out different ways to beat teams down. And yeah, I think over the course of the season, I think we were top of the league for about 12 weeks, a third of the season, a good part at the start, a couple of bits in the middle, and then we finished the season really strong the last 6 or 7 weeks. So I think on merit, we were the best team in the league. Obviously, East Fife pushed us right to the end. Elgin went till about the final 6, 7 games where they fell a bit short and ran out of steam. But we ultimately got that done and fell into the summer where the guys had a really good trip and we all had a good off season. Mentally, we were in a good place going into League One with obviously success and lifting a trophy, and a lot of these players haven't done that. So yeah, it was personally my favourite summer I've had. Just the mental freeness that we had, and the challenge of building a squad to compete in League One, and everything just felt good, but it was obviously a credit to the players that put us in that position. And then it obviously takes us into this season, where there's a lot of new pitches, there's a lot of new players, there's a lot of new tactics, managers, different travels. There's so much variables this season, full time, that we didn't have last year as well. But it's been super exciting. Obviously, I don't know if we want to touch on targets or anything, but internally, stabilisation was a big part of what we. Peterhead's been an up and down team for about 15 years now. We go up and we maybe have 1 year at League One, then we fall down again or whatever. So stabilisation is obviously the key attribute that we want to hold. We don't want to go back into League Two. So it's important that we have strong thoughts about how we improve. And we worked on that over the summer. I think we had another quite strong summer with recruitment. We obviously started the season quite well with a home win against East Fife, which just set us up, and we can compete. Albeit the game 2, 3, and 4 I touched on was difficult games. I think for the majority of the season we've now competed, and especially now the turn of Christmas, we're competitive in every single game.
We'll come on to the aims and stuff like that just in a bit, but can you just tell us how the atmosphere within the club, in and around the club, maybe even in the town, is different now as to compare to what it was, at the end of Jim's time and during David Robertson's time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not walking down the high street, obviously based in Aberdeen, so I'm not gauging that, but I go back as long as 15 years ago, Call, with this club, and like we used to go on nights out, and sometimes the Peterhead team weren't well thought of, but now we go out and it's like everyone's wanting to get us a drink. We're wanting to evolve, integrate with the people, have a dance, like whatever it may be, have a speak, and that wasn't always the case. I can speak obviously for how the club feels internally, how our dressing room looks, how the culture that we've tried to build within, and where it was at. And look, any relegation season's difficult, so there's no sort of pinpointing the fingers that this was his fault or this was that's fault, or we got recruitment wrong or key injuries or whatever. The season happened. It was important that me and Jordon sort of forgot about that, didn't rest on the season before, and we thought, right, well, how do we get this back? How do we build a squad? What do we need to do? And I think a lot of that was built around the recruitment. It had to get recruitment right the first time, because culturally there was a lot of things. Obviously, I think we had over 40 players on the books in that League One season. Jim started off the season with 20 plus, and results weren't going that well between the club. They mutually decided to part ways, and then Davy comes in just before Christmas, has brilliant ideas with the squad. Where me and Jordon were really close with Davy and his thinking, and he had the right intentions for sure. That the players that he had watched over the past 3-4 weeks, whether it was tape or live, we felt he summoned quite well, and that they needed to go and be replaced. And we thought he got that accurate. The problem that we faced in that winter period was the volume of player that we needed to turn over to sort of pull ourselves out of that recruitment battle, that relegation battle. Sorry, was we're looking at probably about 8 or 9 players we needed to bring in, and getting players. Let me tell you, in January, never mind 1 or 2, 8 or 9 is just extremely difficult. So it probably put us in a position where we got slightly worse as a group, not through any ill intentions or I don't know how to say this, but yeah, the right intentions were for sure there with Davy. They just didn't materialise well, and ultimately the results went on a further spiral that they went down with.
Yeah, and I think as you talk about the atmosphere and things like that, there is a much more positive feel. I think not the gap there between players and the fans, but I think there's certainly there's not a them and us anymore kind of scenario. We all seem to be pulling in the same direction.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just wee things like the awards next week. I think we've 20 players willing to stay up and stay on just for the night, and support you guys for the time and effort that you put in to support us, and the money that you spend in traveling and stuff. So it's our chance to sort of say thanks and integrate with you guys, and participate in the raffles and all that kind of stuff. Albeit it is our awards dinner, we should be there, but it hasn't always been the case. Sometimes there's quick exits, but we see that again. Like Sharon put on a really good camp at the start of the season, where training was sort of open doors for people to come in, and we had a brilliant crowd. I think we had about 300 or 400 in that day watching us for 45 minutes on the pitch. So yeah, the club as a whole and in general is doing well. Certainly from a community to player point of view, I think that bridge or that differential is sort of closed, and that we are probably more close knit as a entire group or town now for sure. But I think that also helps with the team doing well on the pitch. Obviously, supporters and stuff want to come to games, crowds go up, and the players feel better about themselves. So yeah, it's all in all, it's been positive just now. I do feel like we're in a good place. The supporters are fully on board. Obviously, you get the 1 or 2 that you'll never be able to appease, but I think every single football or sporting institution has that. That people that it's never going to be for them, but we'll continue to try and work and appease them. So
In terms of this season, what lessons have you learned? Then I know you talk about everything's still a learning curve. What kind of lessons have you learned this season? What's kind of been the difference between managing in League Two and managing in League One?
Yeah, well, I mean, the ultimate difference is the teams are way better. They're far better as a package.
Mm.
They're way more physical, not to the point that um, not to the point of like tackling physicality, but to the the athleticism side of it. Pardon me. The athleticism side's just through the roof. Like a lot of our players, we could technically outdo teams last year or overrun them with a lot of running power in our team. We obviously like Zakirin, Max, Seb, and some to support that with some really technical players last year. But this year it's been far different. With the four full-time teams, they've automatically got a physicality advantage on you, whether it's height, speed, agility, and then the other sort of five teams that we're including ourselves that we're competing against, they're equally as good. They're equally as big, equally as strong, equally as quick. Um, the Each game possesses a lot more of a tactical feel, I think, than League One did, League Two did. And we're obviously playing against teams that probably think they're better than us.
Yeah.
We were probably ninth or 10th sort of favourite us in East Fife to maybe go back down. And so a lot of teams have kind of came at us and had a go and look our sort of style. We win some, we lose some. But that's talking about the opposition. Of course, they're a big learning curve that the opposition's better. But the single-handed biggest thing I think we've learned as a group is off the ball. I think we've had a number of games that you can tell by scoreline that we've been quite humbled. A couple of 4-0s and a couple of 3-0s that were never really in the game, all away 4-0. I think now, within the last sort of 3 weeks, we'd always been trying to sort of pinpoint what we needed to do to compete in these games. I think now in the last sort of 3-4 weeks since the Alloa game, we went away from home and beat them. I think tactically we put on a new sort of idea at the group where we can, we sort of pressed differently at Alloa. I don't know if you were down, Colin, but I think it's going to majorly help us going forward. And I'm obviously aware that clips or something that might go out here or somebody might hear things, so you don't want to. It's obviously something
Yeah.
that we're getting wary of now on Saturdays and pre-match things as well. It's not giving too much away, but I think we found a solution to playing against these teams that hold on to the ball well. And certainly the games that we lost heavily at the start of the season now, we've seen some really encouraging signs. And I think it's just through pressing slightly different. We've got an extra man somewhere in the pitch that I'll leave it up to you to try and find it. But I think the single-handed thing is the way we press now against some of these better teams in the league.
Okay, we'll move on before you do say something that you might regret later on. Before a ball was kicked in all honesty, where did you see us? As you said, a lot of people were writing us off, 9th, 10th. That was kind of the sort of average that people were outside the club were thinking. Where did you guys honestly think that we would finish?
So I also mentioned the word stability 10 minutes ago. That was a key communication. The key objective for the club was stabilisation. But internally, we've obviously spoken to the players, and we had this sort of internal desire that we wanted top four, but we also thought we were good enough for top four. So like we've almost hit that internal target. We have fell short of it. Yes, I am a little bit frustrated that we fell short of it, and I do think we could have been better over the course of the season. But the overriding feeling I still feel is like pride and positivity. Like the team has done well. They are very new to League One. We have a number of new players in the squad. So yeah, I think we've learned a lot from League One, for sure. And I do think it stands us in better stead for next year. Looking at how we want to take this summer and take away the things that we've ultimately made us fell short with.
And I think something that gets forgotten about is there's a lot of players that haven't played at this level. Dylan Forrest hasn't played, Marks hasn't played. Jack Newman, it's his first season as a number one for any club over a prolonged period of time. So to finish fifth, as we hope to do in his final two games, it must be a positive.
Yeah, I'm for sure. Like, obviously, I just touched on that we wanted to finish top four there, but realistically, we had no idea of seven or eight of the teams that were in the league, like how good they actually were, and
Yeah.
it wasn't really until about the end of Q2, probably coming about Christmas, that we got, we've our internal objective here really is a possibility. Um, it took us a while to probably diagnose the opposition squads, and obviously you've done a wee bit of help with that as well. It's things that we sort of overlap and do as well on a constant basis. And yeah, so we found that the opposition was more than a match. There were a lot, they were probably better than I thought they were going to be, more physical than I thought they were going to be, but it still didn't deter the thoughts that I think we could have done the top four thing. Um, so yeah, totally frustrated that we fell short of that, but ultimately, like you say, positivity. If we finish fifth, yeah, great. If we finish sixth, it will be a wee bit of a downer. We want to carry some momentum going into the summer for sure. Um, but you know what, like we had that one game last year with Clyde at the end of the season where we had nothing to play for, and it didn't go too well for us. But we've assured the guys this week that that's not the case, and every point's a prisoner, and every position helps the club a lot, and we need to carry a wee bit of momentum going into next season.
I seriously have no idea if it game you're talking about, the Clyde one. I must have missed that one. I don't know.
It
I thought we
was
won. I thought we won the league, and you guys were off to Ibiza
uh,
the next week. I
the
think
the last game was at East Fife, was it
it
not?
was
Yeah,
the East Fife game. Yeah,
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 East Fife.
yeah. I don't know
Mm.
what you're talking about. Some positives on an individual point of view. Then Kieran Shanks has been absolutely fantastic for us this season. Not obviously just for his goals, but his overall gameplay. I think he's matured as well, and he's been rewarded by the PFA by being named in the League One Team of the Year, and also up for Player of the Year as well. Just give us your thoughts on him as a whole this season, and what's been the difference for him, and why he's been so good this year.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is generally outstanding season that Kieran's had. I think he made Team of the Year last year, didn't he? The players voted him in the 11.
Yeah.
But for me, his game last year it wasn't polished enough. I think he had frailties that were, whether it was playing against low defences a lot or his link up play at times was a wee bit, it was good at times, but I think this year he's just, yeah, it's a funny one because he actually missed a bit of pre-season. We had a bit of a delay with contractual stuff, and we were away on holiday, he was away, and there was things going on in the background. And but Kieran's a player that we've sort of um made the board at Peterhead really aware that for as long as we're here, we want him here.
Hmm.
And he came back. He wasn't out of condition at all, but he was, he was probably under what we expected in the running metrics and stuff. So he took a couple of weeks to get up to speed. But once we got him ready, once we integrated him back in the squad, into the team, started games again, and just got that confidence, he just looked a different player. He's I think there's been about three, maybe four games this season he's looked like last season's Kieran, and that's not a bad thing. That's just how good he's gotten this season. I think his link-up play has improved a lot. I think he looks super physical and conditioned. He's obviously running the channel and playing big, physical, experienced defenders really well. He's been a nuisance all season. And there's actually something I wish we could do for him, and that's provide him sometimes with better service and more crosses. I think a lot of times we get into good areas, that we've got a lot of the ball at times in certain games and get into good areas, but we fail to deliver a perfect cross for him or a wee slip pass. I think we could do a lot more for him, which would further help him. But yeah, look, he's had an outstanding season. He is contractually with us next year. We're trying to look at how that looks for him next year, but we're also more than aware that he's going to have people looking at him, and yeah, credit to him. Like, we're not a club that are going to hold players back as much as we want to keep them. But the move has to be, it has to be right for him if he is thinking of going, and obviously we don't want him to, but he is now at that point. He's probably deserved the move. We communicated to him all of last summer that he needed one more good season. He needed one more good season. He wasn't sort of proven at League One, and he's had that season. So, if teams come in for him, we'll listen. We'll absolutely listen. We won't hold him back. But it has to be right for him, because for me, and it's funny you mention him. I was speaking to him today. He's really enjoying his football. He's flourishing. He's playing well. He's got a good life balance just now.
Mm.
Um, he's signed up to his golf membership, which has to keep him here for another year. So hopefully he doesn't move. But yeah, we're always speaking to him. We know he's a luxury player for us, and it'll be hard for us to keep. But yeah, credit to him. He's been outstanding. Did not see the goal return coming, to be fair.
Mm.
I thought he was capped at maybe 15 and 18, but to go 20 plus, and the performances he's put on is magnificent.
You should maybe try and get him tied into one of these Chelsea 8-year deals or something, and see if that see if that's viable for him.
If only it was that easy, like, in renewals and tying players down that have got ambition. It's
Mm.
it's the hardest part of our job.
Uh, because of the, I say, uncertainty for him in the summertime, do you think he come back with a point to prove? Because there obviously were some naysayers that had their opinions of him. Do you think he come back with a point to prove?
Um, Maybe. I don't think he had a point to prove to us. We obviously we watch him train, we watch how he handles and conducts himself, we watch him in every game, we watch him back in every game. We scrutinise the life out of our players. So I don't think he had a point to prove to us, albeit we'd have liked him to be a bit more accomplished. Certainly with the hold up play was my big thing with him. But I think he just came back driven more than anything else, rather than point to play. I think, we mentioned to him. I remember speaking to him on holiday, and I know Joe spent a lot of time with him and his agent, and yeah, we put a lot of hours in with Kieran. But I think a big thing for him was he had to do it at League One, and I'm not so sure last summer he was fully ready to go into where he was thinking he was going. Um, Albeit I think he would have done well. I think he's now in a better place. He's set himself right up for something even better than what was maybe on the cards last year.
In terms of the recruitment side of things, and obviously tying players down to contracts, you've made headway into that already. 17 players, including yourselves as well, signed up for next season. A lot of work done early. Why are you guys so insistent that you get things done early, so get them done so soon?
Because if we don't, they'll move on. I think we're just in that. Uh, the market moves. The market moves every year almost. It's so different to what it used to be. We always speak about Jim or previous managers just saying, "I just same again, boys," or what I mean, just in May finish the season same again, or a wee bit extra here, or you know what I mean. We were just always so easy to deal with, but the market's just totally different now. It's I think we're about 90% represented with our players are represented with agents. So there's a lot of voices that we have to go through.
Mm.
A lot of the players, obviously, with what 30%, 40% of our squad are south based. That now a lot of south based teams are more than competitive, if not more, um, in terms of salaries and travel. So there's a lot of variables come into these things, but yeah, we want to get it done early because we're also big in consistency. If we can sort of have a vision early on of how next season looks, it sets us up for what we need more. And obviously, managing a budget, we know what we'll have to play with. We know what we can and can't get. But if we pull these things sort of, there was a couple of players. There was both Kieran's last year that went a bit late, and it kind of left a lot of question marks, and a few players we had to let slip last year, because we're holding on to them for a while. And
Mm.
so yeah, we want to get things done early for consistency. We're also big on the age of the team. That none of them have really hit peak years yet. I think it was a big thing that we had at Cove was, a lot of our players were 26, 27, 28 when we started to really use the team. We're nowhere near that yet. So we want to keep the majority, the base of our squad together, and hit them years whilst me and Jordan in charge, because I think it will breed a lot more success and consistency.
One player that you've already signed up for next season externally is Lyle Keir. Just give us a little bit on him and why you wanted to bring him in and what you think he can bring to the squad.
Yeah, super excited about Lyle. Really excited about Lyle. We tried to get him. In fact, we were adamant we were going to get him in January. We wanted to. Bucky's sort of season was coming to an end. They didn't really have anything to play for, up or down. That's the nature of the Highland League. No playoffs or anything, so their season was sort of dead rubber to us looking outside in. So we wanted to get him in integrated nice and early. See the environment, see how we train, see the opposition, be part of the squad and build him up so he was ready for this season. That didn't work out. Bucky were adamant that they needed to keep their best player. So basically, as soon as the Highland League season was all but done, we were right on top of it, because we knew as well. It's another thing with recruitment is, in years gone by, sort of Peterhead teams weren't interested in the Highland League market. Cove teams weren't interested in the Highland League market, nor were Elgin. But we've now got Alan Hale, we've got Paul Hartley, we've got Montrose even dipping in with you and Loudon. So for us, if we're diagnosing the Highland League, there's maybe only 2 or 3 players each season that are really ready to make that step up, and Lyle's definitely one of them. So we know if we don't act, if we're not quick, then he picks one of the other 3 teams, because they're always going to come in for him. In terms
What's
of in terms of attributes, I know I rambled on there. Just in terms of him attributes, one-to-one personality, he looks a tremendous asset. He looks a brilliant boy with outstanding talent, and he's got a whole different set of attributes for the position he plays to what we have. We've got guys like Max, Seb, Craig McGuffey, Niall, Jack Brown, all these guys that are sort of attacking midfielders. The one thing in common with them all is they're small. So Lyle brings a completely different set of attributes here, where he's big, he's athletic, he's quick, and we don't see him. We don't see him sort of. We see him sort of fitting into the League One model, in terms of physicality really well for that sort of position he plays in the attacking midfield.
is he going to be a player that's ready to start games straight away in League One, or do you think you might need to sort of phase him in?
I hope so. Our plan's not to put him out on loan, that's for sure. No, we've had him watched. Yeah, we've had him watched the guts of 10 times Scotland in the last season. And obviously we've got reputable people that are watching Highland League games a lot, who are constantly raving about him and a couple others. So look, when we made the jump with Max, we were sure we were getting a ready-made player, and we're also sure we're getting a ready-made player in Lyle as well.
In terms of some of the first team players, you managed to get them secured. Dylan Forrest, for example, just recently as well. Danny, Jason, in longer terms contracts as well. There's still a few players that futures are a little bit up in the air. Is there anything you can tell us about that at the moment?
Yeah, just that there's a lot going on in the background. It hasn't been easy. Even some of the players that we have gotten tied down, they've taken a number of months. Like for players that maybe signed in March, you'd think we just spoke to them in March, but it was actually a case we spoke to them in like October, November.
Yeah.
So these things don't just happen within a week, 10 days, a month even. They're drawn out over 4, 5, 6 months. So renegotiations are not easy, for a number of different reasons. Now we've got the players that are up at the end of the season that haven't tied down. There is some offers out there. There's some things still going on in the background where decisions need made promptly, and there will be. But there's, certainly, if we look at Craig McGuffey, for example, there's a lot of circumstances going on in his life just now that are making him not sign. Basically, he's not ready to sign. He's not ready to commit. He wants to be here. We want him here. He's had an outstanding season. He's at his prime age. He's provided a lot of assists. He's chipped in with goals. His GPS data is top two every single game. So we need Craig McGuffey here. We've got an improved offer out there for him. But obviously, life circumstances, living in Glasgow and now moving to Troon, it's a whole different ball game for him. He's obviously trying to get a house and things closer to where he's at, but he's not ready to commit yet. He needs time. So look, each player that we're speaking to, each player that hasn't signed yet, there's circumstances and reasons behind it all, but we're constantly working on it. And yeah, the players that we do have tied down, we're really excited about the base that we've got there.
In terms of where the squad's at, regardless if you get those first team players signed up or not, what kind of areas are you looking to add to the squad during the summer?
Yeah, good question. I think we absolutely need yeah, a couple of things here. We'll break it down with defence to start with. We've obviously conceded a lot of goals. So we're probably looking at needing a defender somewhere. Aaron Steele's up for renewal as well, who we want to keep. But we probably need to add, a fullback of some capacity in there to help with the age. With a lot of young fullbacks, and Kieran Dunn's missed a full season. But one thing we will say on that is a combination of two. I think Josh has really helped us coming in. We just need to get him fit. Obviously, he's been out for 6 months and basically just thrown in at the deep end. He's not fit or conditioned. So I think a fully fit Josh really helps us in terms of that defence and conceding goals, but also the thing I mentioned earlier with the way we're pressing against teams and stuff. So I think we're not too far off defensively. Maybe just one sort of in the full back areas. But we'll obviously see what comes out there. Central midfield, I think we're pretty good. We've maintained pretty much everyone with Dylan, Jack, Cammy, Andy, Pete. We've also Seb and stuff. You players that can play sort of inside the park as well. So I think we're quite good in that area. But certainly in the wide areas is something that we're looking at that can maybe bring something different. Someone that can obviously compete with Kieran's goals up front as well is something that we're screaming out for. We've tried our luck at a couple of things this season with young Horn from Partick Thistle. That all due respect, he just wasn't quite ready to compete with Kieran and play week in week out League One. We've also Cammy that can play there, but we don't want Cammy to play there. We want him to play in his natural position. And then more recently, we've took Rob Jones in, who is a completely different profile to what we would sign. But he was available. He was there. He was League One reputable. He's big. He's quick. Albeit he doesn't look it just now because he's not fit and he's a bit cumbersome. But yeah, he's been carrying an injury, so feel a wee bit sorry for the big man. But next year's something that we with or without Kieran, we need to go and get a number 9 that can push him, assist him, help him. And ultimately, the more people that are contributing with 10 plus goals a season helps us all.
Comment from George Conder. What about Lyle's brother? I'm assuming he's talking about Miller Keir, is he?
I don't know who Miller is. I'm not sure who he's talking about.
We'll move on for that one.
Yeah, let's keep that one quiet just now.
In terms of yourself, and you've got a contract. You're down as a co-player manager. You've been on the bench a couple of times this season, but you actually haven't played since October 24. Where are you in terms of your playing? Have we seen you play your last game for Peterhead, or do you expect it to still be playing maybe some games next season?
I wouldn't say we've played our last game for Peterhead at all. I've personally struggled with my back for the best part of a year now. I've got some lumbar issues, disc issues, and I think there's one thing that this bad weather over January, February, sort of bit of March helped me was no golf, just go to the gym. So I was actually going to the gym about 4 or 5 times a week up until the last couple of weeks, and sort of put myself in a lot better physical position to train more. So I've now been training with the team for about 2 months now, pretty much full. Pardon me. So yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better in terms of the intensity of a 90-minute game. I'm not ready to do that for sure. I would need a pre-season under my belt now with that time out. I'm more than aware of that. But in terms of contributing maybe 15, 20 minutes here and there, I'd be more than capable. There was even potentially a chance last week where obviously Josh come off injured, but the timing of his injury wouldn't allow me to come on. It was so early. But no, the plan next season for sure with pre-season games with the Premier League with the KDM, and we might not have the luxury of having 23, 24 players next year. So there might be times where if we can, we need to step up and sort of support the squad, and when they're a bit thin or injuries or games that we maybe can rotate and feel that there's less risk of losing. We'd be more than willing to do that. But no, I don't know if it's an ego thing or something, but I certainly don't think I've played my last game of football because I would have retired with the injury I've had, and so no, frustrating, yes, because at times I do think I could have personally helped the team a lot, and I hear it and I feel it from so many different angles, but it's just not where we are at our stage of our careers. I speak on behalf of Jordon as well. We're more focused and driven on managing the group and getting them ready, and sort of younger man's game now and taking that step backwards. But there's a couple of things in summer as well. There's pre-season friendlies I'm sure we'll participate in. There's Jordan's testimonial match that if he doesn't give me minutes, he's getting a doing. So yeah, you haven't seen the last of us, but in terms of participating week in week out, no, that's not what we're here to do now, and we've sort of fully made the transition to management. What I don't think is right or fair is a position that we were in last week, where we're putting ourselves on the bench with no chance of coming on. That's not happening. That can't happen anymore. We shouldn't be on the bench if we're not willing or not going to participate when players in our positions step out. So for me, we either fully transition out of the squad, or we're there and we're ready to participate when required.
And you've got 2 years left on your deals as well. At what kind of stage would you guys be looking to maybe get those renewed, or do you just want to concentrate on the next 2 years first?
Yeah, it's not not nowhere near in the top of the focus. Each year presents different challenges at Peter Football Club, and we, as much as we love the club, as much as we enjoy the tasks, whether they're good and bad, the trajectory that we haven't really faced adversity yet with it in terms of the when the going gets tough, and we've not really strung like 6, 7, 8, 9 bad results together yet. So we're sort of yet to feel that and see how we react to that as a management pair and trio with Jamie as well, and our backroom staff. So there's a lot of things that we haven't faced. There's a lot of things going on. Each year presents different challenges. I personally, I need the club as well to be driven. I need the club to find the next level, the next target. I don't want things to get stale. I don't want us to just survive and be mid-table every year in League One. I want to find the next way, whether that's bringing in better players, finding more money to come into the club, whatever it is, so that we can drive the club on to where we ultimately really want to go as a club. But yeah, of course, right now we're not ready for that. But back to the original point, no, contracts are way down the list of things to do.
Comment from Crystal Bruce. He says, I have to say the management team deserve as much credit in signing up so many players with decent deals. Gone are the days of so many one-year deals. It gives us good stability. And I guess that's kind of the point that you were trying to make. It's good to have gone are the days where you just turn up and just say, right, we'll be back next year. But it's good to have stability in the short term and the long term. And that's what you guys are trying to drive.
it's a good point. It's a really good point that he makes. Again, for so many different reasons, like each player, we're talking 3, 4, 5 years ago now, it was just 1 year renewals and people moved on. You sort of lost value in the player. Like if we tie players down now for a number of years, we maintain the asset. We can, if they have a good season, we can sell them on. We can have that model. Whereas we've
Mm,
never had that model. Peter has never really. I think the only player that we ever sold was maybe Rory to Cove, and it's something that we're forever trying to bring more money into the club. So if we can get a hold of players on the right length of contract, build them up to certain points, and sort of take money in that way, because we don't want to be a club that constantly has to put money out. We want to take it in as well. And yeah, there's a lot of variables. The Glasgow boys, some of them maybe don't want to commit to 2 and 3 years, and maybe just want a year to see how they get on with the travel. And
mm,
everyone's at different stages of their life, with age and things. But then you get guys like Danny and Jason who are sort of one club men really, and just want to commit their future at the club. And yeah, but fair has to be fair as well, because obviously the day-to-day things are getting harder. Prices are going up, so wages have to go up as well. And
mm,
yeah, we just have to manage that, the entire balance of how much money players get, how long their contracts are. It's something that we've probably learned after window 1 and 2 3 years ago. We now probably feel we're in a position that, of course we can get it wrong, but we feel like when we're offering a contract to someone that we're getting it right all the time now, with our length of contract. And so that's helping us. Yeah, it's a really good point that it makes.
where Man in Dingwall has been in touch. Apologies he couldn't make the live. Because we've got 2 games left, and we'll come on to the Hamilton game just in a little bit. You probably touched on this a little bit earlier on, but with 2 games to go, are we on par or slightly below par, where you thought we would be going into the final 2 games?
Um, a part of me thinks we're fighting way above our station.
Mm,
Um, in terms of where everybody had us at the start of the season. In terms of, if we're comparing sort of our business model to a lot of the other teams being full time or having a training base and training together twice, we're a wee bit behind in terms of that. And also the sort of financial thing that, we're went from the top of League Two, financially, being able to pay players every bit as much as every other team in the league, but we're no longer that team.
mm,
I'd love to know exactly where we are in the league, but I know when we speak to players that are in opposition squads, they're very competitive. So a big part of us thinks that we're fighting above our station, but then there's obviously that internal. We know how good we are. We know how
mm.
good some of our players are. That we did really think top four was realistic. But again, I think I mentioned it to you last week. We've been hampered with injuries this season, for the majority, and really key ones as well, who would have helped us, who'd have helped us big fold, maybe in that top four push. But look, it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. So yeah, it's a tough one. I think happy and a wee bit like not happy, if that
Mm.
sort of makes sense. Like I think I'm delighted with where we are, but a large part of me does think, we've let points go, and certain things we could have been slightly higher.
Chairman of the sports clubs has been in touch. Bruce Davis says, "Are the players looking forward to the end of season do and players awards next Saturday? Because the supporters certainly are." Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to it. I'm guessing you guys are as well.
Absolutely, I said that earlier. I think pretty much everybody's signed up to staying for the longevity of the night, and hopefully we can integrate really well. And yeah, we need to double that bar levy, so it's not enough. We need to get that higher. I'm only joking, but yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. Of course, it's a lot. I think for the last like 3 or 4 years, the players' nights landed on quite an awkward night. Like we've maybe still got games or playoffs or
Mm.
something. Whereas this year we're finished. We don't, so we can really enjoy the night. And nothing obviously to celebrate the individual accolades, but we can enjoy the season as a whole with our supporter base.
That kind of brings us on to tomorrow's game against Hamilton. Then, before we sort of get onto the game itself, in terms of the away support, obviously we mentioned the support at home. The tendency seems to be increasing. We've Barton and I, we've sort of talked about this a few times this season. We think the away support has been fantastic this season. We think there's been an increase. There's certainly more and more people coming onto the supporters bus. It's usually full to most of the games as well. Have you guys noticed that as well? Have you found that trend going to away games that there are more supporters going?
Yeah, I think there's a number of games, and there was last year. I think Elgin and Forfar games sprung to mind. Montrose games this year spring to mind. There's a number of games where we've taken a busload or two, and yeah, the players feel it, they appreciate it, they enjoy it. It's brilliant that you guys can give up your Saturdays and enjoy spending the money and the time that you do coming to watch us, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate that a lot for sure. And long may it continue. Like, we do feel like the home crowds have been. I think they're maybe slightly up. I'm not sure. But there's maybe not a drop off. I'm not sure. We need to look into that exactly. But yeah, sometimes you obviously hear that it's better when you're in a lower league and you're winning, you get bigger crowds. But yeah, we're playing against better teams now, so you always have to be realistic with that as well. But yeah, the sport has been great for us. Like I says earlier, almost everybody you speak to is positive. We have the Q&A at the start of the season. The questions are great. The time we spend is great. It's always full. Bruce does a great job with that as well. And yeah, we love spending our time and communicating the plan, and yeah, any grey areas that the supporters have, we like clearing them up. We're a very open management team, so yeah, we appreciate the support that you guys do as a whole.
Yeah, and I think I'll just make the point that Bruce and the sports committee did a fantastic job getting the waste buses on as well and getting as many people in as well, because they
Yeah,
they sort of
yeah,
make it themselves as
yeah,
well, and that's why
yeah.
why people keep coming back as well. In terms of the game
Sorry,
tomorrow,
sorry,
then.
Colin.
Oh,
Sorry, Colin. Just on that last point,
mhm,
that it was fresh in my mind. I don't know the politics behind it, but obviously we separated the players um from the supporters. Now, that was me and Jordan's sort of decision, but I do think that helped us. I think it brings a more of a professionalism to
mm,
our players, our squad, but it also gives the supporters, you know, that freedom of they can leave whenever they want, they can leave later, they can fill a bigger bus, the
mm,
flexibility of stopping, all that kind of stuff. They're not
yeah,
sort of under our control. And yeah, as much as it was great when we're winning, when we're losing, you come onto the bus and you're walking past supporters that, aren't happy and that. So yeah, that was me and Jordan's decision to sort of separate that. But I do think it's helped us long term. And I don't know if that's made it represent in bigger numbers for the away games, but I do think it is a positive as a whole.
No, I think you're right, and I think for it was first mentioned, and obviously I'm not speaking on behalf of every Peterhead supporter here, but it was sort of first muted that we would be off the players' bus. There was a bit of now obviously somebody's maybe upset somebody or whatever, but I do think that the long term decision has been good, because, as you said, we can rock up to a stadium whenever we like, rather than being an hour before, which would have been because you guys were on the bus. We can
Hmm.
go to a pub, social club, wherever first, and then go to the game. So,
100%. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
on the same on the way home as well. So
So
yeah, I
can
do
we.
think
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's yeah, you obviously missed that little bit of interaction between the players and the
Hmm.
supporters, but
Yeah.
yeah, the long term decision, I think, has been better, and I think that's the reason why we've maybe had more supporters coming onto the buses this year.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. We can make that interaction up other ways as well. It doesn't need to be through a
Yeah.
bus. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hamilton tomorrow then, final away game of the season. Still got something to play for ourselves. Fifth place to try and wrap up. They've obviously got their own issues down at the bottom end as well. Even though it's the second last game of the season, still loads to play for both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. You've nailed it. I mean, for me, Hamilton are, yeah, they're in a dogfight, really, fighting for survival. I'm guessing they don't want to finish ninth for sure.
Mm.
It's a difficult one because their players have had extremely challenging season on a number of fronts, and a lot of them have probably been told or know that they won't be there next year. So yeah, they've probably had, mentally the most challenging season of us all. But they do find themselves there, and by my recognition, I think they've done quite well this season without their points deduction, the things that they've faced. And they've picked up a wee bit recently on form as well. So like they've got a massive task to sort of miss that ninth spot and climb above East Fife or Cove. So they'll be mentally stimulated to play against us tomorrow. That's for sure. From our point of view, it's obviously important that we can match that, because I mentioned that Clyde game that didn't happen like the end of last season, when you maybe don't have anything to sort of play for, and albeit us as a club want to finish fifth, for sure, you can be humbled quite easily in this league, quite easily. And we've seen that a number of times, and we don't want that. It's a long afternoon. It's, player supporters are paying money to come and watch us. We're spending a lot of time in preparation and travel and commitment to the cause. We've two more games. Let's just go and give it a roll, see where it takes us. Listen, we might fall short tomorrow, but it won't be for lack of try. We all know that. We might just fall victim of a team that play better than us on the day. But we've also next week to go as well at Kelty, where we can hopefully, put 3 points on the board one way or another, and finish fifth.
In terms of the injuries, you mentioned Josh coming off last week, Pete came off as well. How are the injuries? Are they going to be available? And what about Kami as well? Is he still going to be out?
Yeah, so yeah, Cammy's a funny one. Cammy's fine, but he's a wee bit frustrated. He showed initial signs of concussion. He had a head knock, obviously, and um, yeah, I think he had 2 or 3 days where he was sort of in a wee bit of pain and dizziness and stuff. And so we as a club sort of took the stance, or our medical team, sorry, sort of took the stance that the signs he was showing, he was concussion. So he won't be available tomorrow, albeit he's doing fine. He's training in non-contact. He's desperate to go. He was desperate to go on Saturday, but we had to stay strong, for the long-term health and protection of the football club, if anything were to happen with Cammy's health in the future. So yeah, he's frustrated, of course. So are we, to be fair. The concussion one's always difficult, and difficult one to manage. Pete's season's over. It's been a frustrating one for Pete this season with a number of injuries, and we hope that's not a sign of things to come. But obviously, we got him back. We had a couple of encouraging signs with him at Ayr United away, and then he gets injured again with, I think it was knee, and then comes back. And we need a fit, available Pete. We just kind of haven't really had that this season. Yeah, I think the break will do him the world of good, and he absolutely needs to come back. He is conditioned, but he needs to be ready for a good pre-season to hold him instead for next season. And we probably need to manage him a lot better next season, because he is getting a wee bit on in that position. The league, his age, the intensity in that middle part. As much as Pete's ego wants him to play every single game in 90 minutes, week in, week out, we need to manage that situation a lot better, I think. Kieran Dunn's out. He's another operation on the 7th of May. We're hoping he gets fast tracked a week before that. We're not sure. Obviously, his contract situation's a wee bit grey just now. We are speaking to him, with a good chat with him during the week. So we'll just see how Kieran Dunn develops over the next few weeks. He's not too far away from. Basically, he had an ankle surgery back in, I think it was November or something, and October even. I can't remember now. There's so much happened this season, but he was told about a 12 to 14 week return to play. He sort of missed that. He was struggling, and he's still feeling adverse effects. So he's had a scan about a month ago, and yeah, the doctor, the surgeon, Bob Carter, sort of wants to go back in and just a wee clean up job on him. So this one's not too bad. It's more, it's going to be a shorter term recovery. So we'll see how he gets on. Obviously, Kieran's a big part of who we were in our identity last year, and the speed within the team. We've also missed that, but that's the three that'll be missing next week. or sorry, on Saturday. The rest have sort of made good recoveries. Adam Carmouth, Aaron Steele, Josh Kerr. They all trained during the week. They all kind of got through things. Jack Brown's obviously been out for a while. We've managed to integrate him back. We need to watch him that he doesn't break down again. But they're all sort of coming back. Andy McCarthy was a surprise integration at the squad last week, where we're pretty much bare bones, and he turned up and says, "Look, I'm willing to run. I'm away to do a high intensity session. So why am I not available for the bench?" And we logically agreed that that was the right thing to do if we needed them, and ultimately we did. And yeah, it's good to have Andy back because he's a key member of our playing team.
I know time's wearing on, but I just want to get your thoughts on the two main guys that might be playing. Kieran Shanks, obviously, we've mentioned Ollie Shot at the other end, both going for the league golden boot. How are you going to try and get Kieran to finish above him this season?
Yeah, well, we touched on it on Wednesday a little bit. Anything we can do to help him, we're not going to rotate him. We're going to play him.
Mm.
If we get penalties, he's been our penalty taker anyway. But if there's anything we can do as a group tomorrow to help him, assist him, supply him with ammunition, that isn't jeopardising to the team and the outcome of the game, we'll try and do it, because we obviously want him to get the individual accolade. We had that sort of thing last year where I think it was Max and Kieran were going for the top goal scorer, and so we played them the exact same minutes. But we don't have that this year, so Kieran's going to play, and yeah, hopefully he's available for 180 minutes for the next two games and give themselves that best opportunity, because the player he's competing with is obviously a top pro for this level, and he's proven at a higher level as well. And yeah, for all the troubles that Hamilton have had, he and a few others in that team have still had outstanding seasons.
And despite the fact there's two games left, from a personal point of view, I'm actually really looking forward to next season already. The players that we've got signed up, there's players that we're potentially bringing in as well. It's all exciting. How are you feeling at this moment? Are you fully focused, I guess, on the two games coming up, but sort of looking forward to next season already?
Yeah, you're always focused on short, medium, and long term, aren't you? Like, you fall asleep for one day in this job, and you feel like you've missed a full book, especially with some of the things that go on at our football club. So yeah, every day's presenting things new. We're speaking to, I think we're speaking to about 8 or 9 players just now. Just this last couple of days, things are speeding up a little bit in some fronts. Some really exciting things actually. Um, the nucleus of the squad that we've got, yeah, that 16, 17 that we've got, super exciting. We know what we want to build around them. All the players that we're speaking to are in that positions that we want to build, that can help with goals, help with physicality in certain areas. So yeah, really, really exciting. Just now, for the last maybe month or two, three even, we've sort of been speaking, thinking, are we behind the curve here? We haven't got anyone on pre-agreements. We haven't signed anyone behind the scenes, albeit we're trying, we're speaking. We feel like other teams are maybe slightly ahead of us, but I think we've really sped up this last maybe 3 or 4 weeks. Obviously, we've got Lyle. There's a few more that we've offers out to, and I would say the initial talks are really positive, and I think the players that we're looking at could really help us next year. Could really help us next year. The loan market's something that we haven't really touched on in this podcast. It's something that we are going to need to jump into next year. We've obviously taken a 2 or 3 in this season with Matt Henry and Tam Horn. And obviously the goalkeeper as well, which is different because you've obviously a number one, you're signing a number two not to play. But these guys have, specifically the two Hearts lads, have really helped us. But next year is something that we're probably going to need to bulk our squad with, maybe 4, 5, or even 6 of the sort of younger guys, to not only help dilute our squad, our budget, but help with numbers. And because we've faced a lot of injuries and stuff this season as well. So another thing we probably haven't touched on as well is we've looked at a lot of other teams that, we have 4 full-time teams in the league, and other teams that are going into the loan market. So a lot of the time they've got more full-time athleticism on the pitch than we do. So it's something that we're aware of and definitely look to fill our squad with next year.
So all in all, very positive season. It looks as though we're going to have another fantastic summer as well, which all bodes well for another fantastic season as well. And hopefully we beat the targets going for the start of next season. But Ryan, thanks very much for your time. Really enjoyed the chat. It's been well over an hour, so I do apologise for keeping you on this Friday night.
It's been a good chat. It's been a good chat.
You've got a game to prepare for, but we'll thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone that has been watching, putting in your questions and comments. Well, we do thank you for those as well. Martin and I will be back for our regular Monday episode this week. Hopefully, he's got an update on the pubs and clubs up in Dingwall that's worth looking at next season. But apart from that, we'll wish you well for the remaining 2 games, Ryan, and best of luck for the recruitment and for the start of next season.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Cheers. Appreciate it.